Welcome to the Best You podcast, where we explore the journey of inner peace, harmony, and joy that comes from living authentically. Every week, we will dive into transformative conversations that describe both the way you can create behavioral change for yourself and how to create the conditions that promote peace, harmony, and joy around you. Whether you're seeking balance, deeper relationships, or a spark of inspiration, you're in the right place. In today's episode, we're going to discuss the basic tools for achieving this in our life, and so that you can have the insights and practices that will help bring more harmony and joy into your world. So let's get started. I'm Sanna Calvert with the Foundation for Family and Community Healing.
And I'm Scott Frank with the Peace, Harmony, and Joy Alliance.
Welcome to our show, and thanks for joining us. Scott and I wanted to talk today about the state of the world. It feels a little crazy to a lot of us these days, and things just feel like they are getting more chaotic. People are feeling uneasy and anxious and depressed, and the statistics around the mental health of our country seem to back that up, where 1 out of 3 adults and 46% of young adults ages 18 to 25 are experiencing either a mental illness or a substance misuse disorder. So that's a lot of uh, anxiety and unease in the world, right,
It's
Scott?
it's amazing what's happening, and it just seems to be growing.
It seems to be growing. And so Scott and I were fortunate enough to discover each other, to find that we are both just so concerned about this. And our work revolves around helping people to find greater peace and harmony within their lives and with those around them.
Yeah, and we've been having success, and we hope we can help you.
That's right. So we're going to be talking about a number of topics in this series, but we thought it would be great to start with some of the basic premises for how to create really a practice of peace, harmony, and smooth relationships with others, and joy. Because despite the world feeling chaotic and volatile and uncertain, we know that this is possible for each of us, even though a lot of uncertainty and what we might call bad things are happening around us.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, and it's amazing how powerful our mind is, and how much control we actually do have over our experiences. And we're excited to share some of the tips and tricks that we've learned over the years.
Yeah. And so, Scott, maybe you could just talk a little bit about your own relationship with creating a beautiful and peaceful, harmonious world. We've talked about it starting from within, and so can you share a little bit about um, the importance of that practice in your life and in your work?
Sure. I think that we as human beings are built to survive, and it's interesting. For thousands of years, our ancestors were the same, and if you're in this survivor mentality, your body is going to constantly be on alert and constantly. Kind of be almost uptight because of all the things that are going on around you. And so by our human nature, I think we are kind of meant to feel stress, because we're simply, our bodies are just on 24/7, kind of watching for any danger that could impact us. And I think the thing that we've learned is that you can actually find calm and peace and relax during this by trusting that, first off, that things are going to be okay. It's so easy to let things overwhelm you, or to worry that things are going to go wrong. But I think if you really look at your life, it's amazing how many times you've been able to figure things out and things have worked out okay. And so I think just having faith is a big thing. And some people have faith in God, some people have faith in the universe, some people have faith in themselves. But I do think that can play a dramatic role in helping you calm down and helping you reduce your stress. And it's amazing. There's other things like Pilates and yoga and nature walks. There's so many other things in your life that you can use. I would just encourage you to realize that your mind is powerful, and if you begin to exercise with it and play with it and really get in tune with it, you will see that every single experience you have the potential to have it be a really, uplifting, joyful one, or to be a really sad and kind of depressing one. And it's up to you how you want to receive, observe, and experience those.
Yeah, I think that is such a critically important point that it starts with us. And one of the, I think, beliefs that is makes it so challenging and scary for people is that we feel like the world or our lives are out of control. But we really have so much control over our lives because, like you said, our brains are so powerful. And so um, when we have the practice of focusing our brains in a constructive manner, then we can use them constructively, but we can also use our brains to generate more fear and anxiety, depression, and even harm. So I'll just give a little example about how I've made a big change in my life. And I don't think I'm any different from other people in that we often have sort of these beliefs um, our about whether we're safe or whether we should be afraid in the world, like Scott said. And we have evolved to be fearful because it helped us survive. But in the modern world, yes, there are threats, but the amount that we worry about the daily things in our life are mostly not life threatening or really that life altering if we're really to look at them. And so, what I know is that we all have sort of these fear scripts in our head, these beliefs that I'm not safe, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough. Um, I'm entitled, or I need to be perfect, or I won't get what I need, or I'm unlovable, something like that. So we carry these scripts, and and I know from me that when I would go around with my belief, like I'm not going to get what I need, and I tend to go around using confirmation bias, like only noticing the things that affirm what is really often a subconscious belief. That I only notice the things that affirm that belief, and I tend not to notice the things that refute it, that say I am getting what I need. And so it's in this manner that I have created a world for myself where I didn't get what I need because that's the only thing I noticed. So this is the power of our perception and the power of our brain, and um, and so if I notice instead how beautiful things are, how helpful and kind, then that's I can use that confirmation bias to my advantage, and just realize that I'm really truly in a beautiful, magical life that is so improbable in the universe. So, this is one example of how powerful our attention and beliefs are, and how we could use the mind to our benefit.
Yeah, and I want to build on the confirmation bias from a little different perspective. Um, I have a feeling all of you, whenever you bought a car, you found a great car, you liked it, and you're happy with it, and all of a sudden you start seeing those cars all over the road. And before you bought the car, you probably didn't even hardly ever see it on the road, or before you started thinking about the car. But it's amazing, when you have something in your mind, how all of a sudden your brain will confirm, hey, everybody else is driving this car, I must have gotten a great car. Same thing could be for your dog. You may have gotten a new dog, a new breed that you never really had thought about. Someone offered it to you. You love your dog. Now you see those breeds everywhere. It's just amazing how your brain works and how it does really, for whatever reason, try to confirm that you're right. And I do think it is, another. I'll use the word confirmation. It's a confirmation how powerful our brain is, but it is constantly trying to tell you you're okay. It's actually trying to help you survive. That's some of the positive stuff. But then again, if you're thinking about something going wrong, if you got in a bad car accident, for example, you're going to be reading up on car accidents. You're going to be all of a sudden you're going to be aware of all these car accidents around you, and it's going to confirm bad things too. And um, all I can say is the good stuff. makes you feel good, adds you energy to your life, makes you feel more joyful. The bad stuff is what brings you down. And again, you have the power. That's the thing that most people don't understand. You have the power to focus on what you want, and the brain is there to support you. The other thing I wanted to just touch on, uh, we recently went through an election, and I'm not going to even name the president who won, or who was the other candidate. But I do know that many people were extremely saddened. I'd say even depressed about the outcome. By the way, many people were extremely happy and joyful at the outcome. I think it's interesting when you really consider what this president who just won is going to do. I don't think he's going to bring all the wonderful things perfectly like the happy people are hoping for. I don't think he's going to do all the terrible things and that the sad people are worried about. But it's funny how the brain can make you feel really happy, really sad, and really reinforce and confirm whatever it is your bias is towards that person. So I will
Yep.
just say you have the ability to put your brain in the place you want. And I think smart people, people who really know how to use this this mind power, I think if I find a way to say, hey, I may not have been supportive of this person who won the president, but there's probably some good things they're going to do, and even the bad things are probably not going to be so terrible.
Yeah. So I think what's important with the confirmation bias and so many of the other dozens of cognitive biases and errors, which are multiple shows in and of themselves, just I feel teaches us to be more open and open minded and willing to listen to others. And it's when we get stuck in a belief in a way that's rigid, then we are less able to adapt to changes in our lives. So I'd like to share a graphic now that describes the way our psyches work. So this is the ABC model. It comes from psychology, and what this psychological principle tells us that if there's a an event, something either good or bad, but in this slide it says adverse event, then it leads to a behavior. So just going back to the example of me believing that I'm not going to get what I need. So my adverse event might be something like interacting with a customer service rep who I felt was not going to be helpful to me, even though I paid for this service. So to me, that's an adverse event. To you, you might go, well, they're having a bad day, and you'd shrug it off. But for me, this might be a hot button or a trigger. And so it would activate this belief. And for me, it was an unconscious belief for many years that I wasn't going to get what I need. And so the behavior is that it would remind me of this belief. And then I would get my hot button pushed, and I'd go into fight, flight, or freeze mode. And sometimes I would just walk away, or sometimes I would get upset. And then the consequence would be that if I'm not being very nice to this person, they're actually less likely to be helpful to me. So that would be the consequence of me having this belief and behavior that would just happen in the drop of a pin. And the irony of it, and often many of these subconscious beliefs, is that it's a self fulfilling prophecy. I'm afraid I'm not going to get what I need, and my behavior then reinforces that. So so this is, I think, a good example of the power of the mind again, and how we make choices and how we see things. Because if I know that I have this fear that I won't get what I need, and I know what my normal triggers are, I can go, well, that's a belief, but it's not always true. Just like Scott said, like just because I like or don't like this person doesn't mean it's going to turn out the way it won't be the worst case scenario or even the best case scenario, probably. That it's probably something in between. So I might go, well, maybe that wasn't as friendly as I'd like, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're being rude or unhelpful. So why don't I see if I can um, be friendlier to this person, maybe we can work together more effectively. So if I then choose, I stop and I choose a different behavior, I may get a different consequence than what I'm accustomed to. So knowing this about ourselves and realizing that we're not just a victim of our circumstances, we can make a choice about what we see and how we behave and what we believe can change the way our world feels to us. So I'd like to talk about the next logical piece of this, and that is the thing that Scott and I are wanting to talk about because Scott is the head and founder of the Peace, Harmony, Joy Alliance. And so the mission of the PHJ Alliance is very similar to that of the Foundation for Family and Community Healing, um, to help everybody to create peace, harmony, and joy in their life. And from the standpoint of the Foundation for Family and Community Healing, is that we create right relationship with ourselves first, and then also each other, and our families, communities, workplaces, and with Earth, and the loving force that connects us. And because when we do that, when we create right relationship, we can create peace, harmony, and joy. So, Scott, do you want to explain this slide?
So, I think the point that Sanna's making is that we have the opportunity and the ability to create our own experiences, and and it could be an experience that we have by ourselves. It could be an experience we have with other people, but we have that ability, and it may be shocking to many that I'm even saying that. However, it's been proven, and we have a lot of people using this approach to do so. um, it all starts with us, though. If we want to have a wonderful experience, it starts with how we feel. And it really begins with, we call it the foundation, is it begins with being peaceful or calm. I think so many people are having challenging experiences because they're reacting, because they have anxiety, because they're allowing things to happen to them. However, if you can be proactive and you can, uh, you know, create this again, this sense of calm, this sense of peace within yourself. If you're relaxed, it's amazing how then you have the ability to create these experiences. But it really does start with finding ways to calm down. And again, we touched on some of them earlier. Ways to get there. If you have faith that everything's going to be okay, that'll calm you down. If you just simply take a nature walk or do Pilates, I mean, there are just ways to de-stress and just to feel good. But we think that's critical. If you're not calm, if you're constantly having thoughts racing through your mind, if you're anxiety ridden, it is going to be hard to have good experiences on a consistent basis. But once you're calm and peaceful and you have that foundation, then the next opportunity is to create harmony. Is to look at everything that's going on. It could be, again, something you're doing with yourself. When you're calm, it's amazing how your body operates much more efficiently and effectively. If you're playing a sport, if you're playing tennis, for example, all of a sudden you're hitting the balls and your legs and your arms are all moving well, and your mind, everything's connected. It's like making music inside your body. If you're in a conversation with a good friend or your spouse, if you're calm, you can hear that person, you can have the right words for that person, and you can appreciate what they're saying. Again, it's like making music together, and you can play off of each other, and it's beautiful music that is made in harmony. And by the way, it could even be people you don't know. It could be somebody in your community who you've just met, and it's amazing when you're calm and you really are curious how you can make music with them. But I'll tell you, our ultimate goal is joy, and we believe every person has the ability to have joy every moment. But again, it starts within you, and when you're having peace, harmony, and joy within yourself, and you're in the moment, and you're really truly trying to experience what's going on with yourself, then you can start to do it with other people, and you will just be amazed when you are calm and you're truly connecting with yourself and with others, and you're in the moment with it, how joyful your experiences will be on a consistent basis.
Yes, and I'd like to point out that each of these panels, PhD within, PhD with others, PhD with community, all have be present as one of the recommendations. And so, um, that includes having a mindfulness practice, and it's really critically important so that we don't let all that fear-based thinking take over our lives and determine how we feel um, in the world and in our bodies.
And I want to just brought that up, Sana, because I think being president is one of the most critical things in our life that we take for granted. I think so many people have a hard time being in the moment, and that is really the biggest reason why they're not experiencing consistent joy. And when I say not being in the moment, so many people are worried about things that have happened in the past, and they're you know someone hurt them or something bad happened or whatever it is. They're just they whatever happened in the last day, the last hour. I mean, they're just thinking about that, and that's distracting. And they're not in the moment, but they're thinking about what just happened to them. The other thing they're doing is thinking about the future. If I do this, what are people going to think? If I do that, what's going to happen to my job? If I And so people are constantly thinking about what's going to happen. What am I going to feel like? How's it going to impact me? All I can say is this: whatever you're doing, be in the moment with it, be present with it, and you will be amazed of how joyful those experiences will be. But when you let your mind wander, it is really, really hard to have peace, harmony, and joy. And I'll also tell you, the same thing applies to multitasking. And I can't tell you how many people, it's not just letting your mind wander, but you're talking to your spouse, but you're watching TV or you're playing on your phone. Again, being in the present, I'm so glad Sana reinforced that, is so critical. And there are so many distractions, but you can totally control them if you just put your mind to them.
That's right. That's right. It's so important because everything you have in this very moment, unless you're bleeding or you've broken a bone or something, like you have everything you need right in this minute. So why not experience it with as much joy as possible? So thanks for elaborating on that, Scott. Just combining the two principles together is we have the adverse event, or it could be a positive event. It's also called the antecedent. It could be something good. But either way, your belief then informs your behavior. And what the last graphic says our thing, includes strategies like be present and being curious and open and listening, using both and instead of either this or that. It's good or bad. It's good and bad. It's both potentially. And to choose optimism. So we're and that these are just some examples, but sort of a summary of the slide that Scott just talked us through, that altogether will create the consequences of more peace, harmony, and joy, where we decide what's most important to us. We focus on our locus of control, things that we can control. We can't change the past. Sometimes we can influence how the future plays out, but a lot of things are out of our control. So knowing what we can and cannot control, being in our locus control, knowing what's most important, and most importantly, just living the best life we can from moment to moment.
And one thing I want to add, just to reinforce what you were saying, Sana, it's interesting. Adverse events, we all have them, right? And I think we usually have them many times during, throughout the day. The question is, how do you want to observe them? And Sana touched on it. Is it really truly an adverse event? Or is it actually something that is going to be helpful to you? Is it actually something that is going to teach you something, is going to help you grow, be a lesson? Again, if you get hurt in a car accident, that's probably pretty bad. But even there, maybe there's some lessons in it. Let's hope that you're okay. But maybe you were going too fast. Maybe you weren't paying attention. Maybe there's some things in there that actually will help you to be a better person, live a better life going forward. And I will bet you almost everything that happens to you, if you just look at it from a positive perspective, there's something in there that'll help you be better going forward.
Yes, and just to quickly build on that, like facing your own mortality, or facing, death and dying, generally speaking, can help people live more vividly in the present moment. Even pain, like I've discovered that when my pain goes away, boy, do I feel really good about just feeling pain-free / normal. So those are things that we sometimes take for granted. And many times, not always, many times we can find that there's a valuable lesson there for us. And we have deeper resources for you to connect. So, with the Foundation for Family and Community Healing, we have a whole library of courses where you could develop these skills. And we are going to be having accompanying set of videos on the Best You about focusing on specific practices that come from our platform where you can try things on and see how they work for you. Scott, do you want to tell them about Peace, Harmony, Joy offerings?
Yeah, well, Peace, Harmony, and Joy offerings, I'll tell you about. We do have the book Less Stress, More Joy, the Peace, Harmony, and Joy approach, and we give you a lot of tips in there. If you come to our website, peaceharmonyjoy.org, you can join different types of events that we have and get to know people and talk about these things. We've helped a lot of people. We truly know this works, and hopefully, what Susan, Sana, and I've just walked you through has given you some ideas and has given you some hope, because we are all, every single one of us is an amazing individual and can live an amazing life. And I know Sana does encourage you to just dig deep and really truly go for your full potential.
Thank you for tuning in to the Best You podcast. We hope today's conversation sparked some new ways for you to cultivate your inner peace, connect meaningfully with others, and embrace the joy of living in harmony. Remember, being the best version of yourself isn't a destination. It's a daily practice of growth, reflection, and kindness to yourself and those around you. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd love it for you to subscribe, share it with somebody who'd benefit, and leave a review to help us spread the message of peace and joy. Stay connected, stay inspired, and we'll see you next time on The Best You.